All right, we're going to chat a little Utah football, chop it up a little bit now with Utah running backs coach Mark Atuaia. How are you?
I'm elated. I'm elated to be here, and I mean that in all sincerity. It's a great thing to be in Salt Lake City at this present time, and to be a Utah Ute.
So talk to me about the journey. You were coaching at Washington State. Things are going pretty well up there, and what was the allure? What was the connection that brought you here to Utah?
Amazing. The conference realignment. It really made me think, deeply about where I was in the profession, and when it happened to those two universities with Oregon State and Washington State, it made me really rethink, what I wanted to do. I love the small rural Palouse, and it was a unique environment to be in. However, Utah, I've lived in Utah longer than I have my home state of Hawaii. And so I was very familiar with it. And when the opportunity presented itself, I looked to my wife and told her, hey, we have this opportunity. And it was instant. She knew, it's about time. Let's go home and let's go take care of business. So.
Yeah, I said it all along. Nobody wanted to see the Pac-12 break up. Nobody wanted to see that. But the two schools you really felt for were Washington State and Oregon State. Two great schools, great programs. They did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
They just got left out in the cold. How'd they deal with that last year up there?
Well, I can only speak for my experience at Washington State and Pullman in general. It deeply affected it. There were financial, even logistically, from an everyday vantage point as a coach, you could feel the squeeze. And again, there's nothing I could do from, a decision-making vantage point, but for me and my family personally, I had to reconsider a few things. And again, I did not have any intentions of leaving, but as the profession is, they call it the carousel for a reason. And then when all of the things were happening around the nation, and particularly in Salt Lake, again, the opportunity presented itself, and I am eternally grateful to Coach Whittingham and Coach Beck and Coach Scally. They were the ones, and in part, even further, Coach Powell, because we've known each other forever, and when Coach Witt was looking to validate his decision to bring me here, he asked all the coaching staff, and a lot of the just affirmations came from them.
Right.
So I'm appreciative to be here, and man, it's full steam ahead. I'm just so happy to be a Ute.
You mentioned the carousel in your profession.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to get back into coaching? Because you weren't on that carousel. 12, 13 years ago, you weren't. It looked like you were going down the path to be a lawyer, right?
Yeah, and I just had this conversation about 5 minutes ago with our head man as we're doing exit interviews currently, just to get our thoughts on being here and all of that. Anyway, I was an associate dean, with the school down yonder in Provo, and then also I was Tom Homo's associate athletic director for a bit. And I remember when Robert and I got rehired back as the offensive coordinator. He signed his contract in Tom's office and walked right past me and just looked in the office and said, hey, if you want to coach, 8 o'clock in the morning is your interview. And then continued walking. And Tom heard it from his office. And so Tom kind of smiled at me, and he knew for a while that the bug, it bit me. And then, everybody that has played football understands what that means, where it never leaves you. And if that opportunity is there, and regardless of whether you're on a path to be an athletic director or a lawyer, or as I was, I remember thinking in my brain, how do I tell my wife all this struggle that we've done to go through graduate school and all of that? Yeah, that was all for naught. I should have just went into coaching, but I think we all know that the journey is part of it, and I use that in my coaching experiences now, especially the vantage point of talking to these young men in the clouded climate that is college football. There is still school, and there is still an education that you can get, and there is still a degree that will help your life. As I've been one without a degree for a long time and have experienced a whole bunch of things. And those are the experiences that I share with my running backs, and it's from that vantage point from where I coach.
What's it been like? You competed against Utah as a player and as a coach at BYU and Wazoo.
Yes, sir.
And you saw the program from the outside and competed against Kyle Whittingham teams. Now you're on the inside. Now you're here. So what's that experience been like coming inside now after seeing it from the outside?
Well, what is evident whenever you play the University of Utah, and all the years that I've competed against Coach Whittingham and the staff and others that have been here, is this: they are always going to be tough, they are always going to be hard-nosed, and they will always smack you. And so I wanted to know, when I got into it, like, what is it that the secret sauce that the University of Utah is employed all these years? And the truth being, there is no secret sauce. It is the head man, it is the culture that pervades, and it is the connection and the connectivity that is amongst these players. And I am elated to be a part of it. They are, it doesn't matter, what ethnicity you are, who you are, where you come from in the country, because all it is when you're a Utah Ute, you're going to bond together and you're going to play for each other. And I've seen it firsthand since being here in December of last year until now. And I'm excited to be a part of it going into the future for however long they'll have me here.
In addition to physicality that you just mentioned and the culture, this program's always had a good tradition of running backs, too. There have been good running backs that have come through there. That's your position group. That's your room. So assess for me your room and where it's at, and specifically the guy you coached a year ago up at Wazoo, Wayshawn Parker.
Yeah. Well, with the exception of Omar and Frankie, everybody else is new. And everybody has come in and has had to assimilate to the culture that's been here. And for the most part, I think they've done a great job of not trying to be an outlier, of trying to be a Utah Ute and understanding what that all entails. In particular, Wayshawn, that whole ordeal happened when he jumped into the portal and all of the other stuff in the coaching profession happened, and then right when I had a chance to go get him, I went. And it was a tough deal because everybody had already seen what I had saw when he was in high school, and so they were able, they were throwing a whole bunch of stuff at him, which is what's happening now in college football. But I was grateful that his family, his parents, and him in particular knew who I was and how I loved and cared for him as not just a football player but as a person, and that overrode everything else, and is the big reason why he's here in Salt Lake. And then everybody else, I've now since being their coach, all during spring, and then with every single one of them, I love them dearly, and it's because we're now locked arms and in this battle together. Our room represents a plethora of others that have been here in Utah. Some really studly dudes, man, that have played in the NFL and have had careers professionally. And so, we have a mantle to uphold, and we're going to do that.
So generally, you're running games about as good as the guys that are up in front.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless you're Barry Sanders and you can just improvise and do what you got to do, you got to have some dudes that can block up front. Exactly. I'm curious, your view of this offensive line. You've been around football a long time.
Yes.
How do you assess those guys up front this year that your guys are going to run behind?
Again, I've said this publicly before, and Coach Harding really hates my guts when I gas him up, but those guys are awesome. And Coach Beck and I and he can attest that we've been a part of offenses where we've had to work around that notion of not having studly dudes up front. However, with this one, it's been nice to understand that these guys can hold their own. And, we still know how to scheme to help if we have to. But they are the leaders of our program and our offense and our unit. Those guys are awesome leaders. Everything runs through them, and they take accountability and ownership of when things don't go right. So I'm elated to be a part of this offense, especially with them at the helm. And I mean that in all sincerity. Those guys are driving this ship, and so I'm happy to be a part of it.
Mark Atuaia with us here as we chat a little bit about Utah football. I don't think it's any secret for those that have followed social media since you came on board. You've got yourself a pretty big personality, and you love to perform.
No, I really don't.
Oh, I think I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. Where does that come from, Mark? Have you always been that guy? If I talk to your high school teammates in Hawaii or your college teammates, have you always been that guy?
I have. I think it's just a part of my personality. I just love to have fun, and it's been that way since the beginning, and it's still that way now. A story that folks don't know is that I paid when I was at BYU as a running back. I did not graduate from college, so my whole focus in life was to make it to the league and to do all of that. And when that bid didn't work out the way I wanted it to, I didn't have a degree to fall back on. So a unique story is that I paid for my first semester and half of the second semester by professionally being a professional musician. I did that. I got the coaching from my wife. She told me what to do. From a business vantage point, this is how you make money quick and to do all of that. And so for a while there, I supported our family while saving money to pay for school. So that's how I paid for my first semester and a couple other things. While I was at BYU Hawaii, where I garnered my bachelor's degree. So, well,
for those that don't know, Mark is only the second best performer in his family. His wife, who he just referenced, Elizabeth. For those of us that are of a certain age and old enough to remember, there was a group called the Jets. And it's not New York. It was with two T's. So when did you know she had a crush on you?
Oh, wow.
See what I did there?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Wordplay. Good job. Well, we met way back when I was in high school. Her cousin, they were performing in Hawaii, and her cousin approached me and a friend of mine and asked, "Hey, do you mind showing my cousin around, Laie, where I'm from?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And so, all of a sudden she shows up, and I was like, "Bruh." So in my mind, I was like, okay, I knew who she was at the time, and they were at the height of their career. But I thought to myself, there's no way that she would fall for some native dude from Hawaii. You know what I mean? Like she was already, at the stardom part of her career. But that's where she said she goes, "Man, I like that guy over there." So anyway, that's where we met, and later on in life, we met again, and so. Yeah, that's pretty much how it happened. I said, "Right, you can." She actually left her career in LA, and I said, "Hey, if you want to be poor, you can come and be a poor college student with me." So she moved to Utah, and then that's where it all.
Well, that's how you know she liked you.
I don't know, bro. She probably felt like she needed some charity, I guess.
Let's not go there.
I'm the charity case.
Not for this long, you're not. All right, before I let you go,
yeah,
there's a lot of energy in the building right now. This spring, it was really evident, especially on the offensive side with you and Coach Beck and the new offense and everything coming in. So I ask you as we sit here getting ready for fall camp, what has you most excited about this upcoming season, Mark?
Well, there's a lot of things that I'm excited about, but the seminal reason that I'm excited is the players, and they drive everything. Coaches can say whatever they want at this point. Everything derives on how they come about their business. And watching them from spring until now, and then working into this break that we as coaches have, and when we come back, knowing how they're going to operate when we do, and getting ready for fall camp, I'm telling you, man, I am so excited for the season. I'm so excited for the university and our fans, but most importantly, I'm excited for this team and the players that are on it and the way that they go about their business, because that excites me in letting me know that, I better come with my A game, ready to coach and to give my everything, for this upcoming season. So,
if you haven't done it already, he's a great follow on social media. And if you're not following the Utah Athletics accounts, I don't know what you're doing anyway in Utah football, but Mark Atuaia is a good time and a heck of a good football coach. Thanks for doing it, guy.
I appreciate you. Go Utes!
There he is, running backs coach, Mark Atuaia.